So, and yes, do use the chat. And so I'll just welcome everybody to our midweek Rhapsody by Fire, which is featuring Regina Yvette Carter Garcia this evening, who is going to be discussing and reading some of the poems in her upcoming, soon to be published collection of poems, The Firetalker's Daughter. So this is what the cover is going to look like. And that is coming out from Finishing Line Press. And I'm showing this to you guys because it is in pre-sales right now, which means that you are going to hear some poems tonight and you're going to want to get this book. And what you can do is go to Finishing Line Press online, type in Regina Garcia, and this, which is going to be the cover of the book, will pop up, and you'll have all kinds of good information about the book, some great blurbs from people who have read the poems and love them, and also information so you can order it, because pre-sales is important, especially important because it helps the publisher determine how many copies of this book they're going to actually print. And so you can go ahead and order the book, and it will be shipping out first part of March. Is that right, Regina?
Actually, March 31st.
March 31st. Okay, so all good, all good. So that is The Firetalker's Daughter. And we are having our midweek Rhapsody by Fire. And so I think I'm going to start by just, for those of you who may not know everything about Regina, I thought I would share her bio that you can actually read later if you go to Finishing Line Press and put Regina's name in. It's there with the other information about her book. So this is Regina. Regina YC Garcia resides in Greenville, North Carolina, and is a poet, writer, voice artist, narrator, and English professor at Pitt Community College. She holds a BA degree in speech communication with a concentration in the oral interpretation of literature from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, as well as a master's in education with a graduate certificate in multicultural and transnational literature from East Carolina University. She is the 2021 National Daughters of the American Revolution American Heritage Poetry Award winner, which is a huge award, a 2021 North Carolina Literary Review James Applewhite semifinalist, and is published in a variety of journals and anthologies. Additionally, she has both written and video poetry featured in the South Florida Poetry Journal, Up the Staircase Quarterly, The Book of Black, Black and, The Amistad, The Blacklight Project, which is a documentary, and others. She additionally has poetry in Main Street Rag and poetry and voice work featured in the Sacred Nine Project, which is a series of musical and literary compositions arranged by Curtis Rabin, the director of choirs at Tulane University. Regina is the mother of 3 grown sons and 1 daughter-in-law, and is married to the wonderful Romeo A. Garcia Jr. And I'll just add, she's a really cool friend to have. That's not on the website, but it's true. So if you guys, let's just give her a round of clapping hands. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to see everybody. My heart, I already, Scott said it's important to have a warm heart, and my heart is warm.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Regina. And I'm Caren Stuart hosting tonight. So I have no credentials. I just am friends with Regina. So
everybody knows Caren. Get out. Yeah.
So Regina, just take it away. We're just ready to be amazed and impressed and in love with your words.
Well, thank you. And I just am so glad for you to be here, because of certainly if you weren't here, we couldn't have the fire. There would be no Rhapsody by Fire. And I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to let you all take it away. If you have any questions that you want to ask me at the end of all of this, I'm just so happy to be able to share with you today. Okay. The title of my book is The Firetalker's Daughter. You can see it behind me. Caren held up the paper. And you may wonder what a fire talker is. If you are aware of that, wave your hand. Anybody? I would think like, okay, some people know. Okay. And it is a dedication to my mother. So every poem is, of course, not about my mother, but it is a representation of the things that she instilled with me, what she taught me throughout her life, and still is even in this period of her life, showing me about how to show up, how to navigate a variety of situations that sometimes may not always be so favorable to me. Okay. And so the poems that I have in this book focus on culture and family and the ancestors and certainly social issues. My mother was a librarian. Very early, she put a book of poetry in my hand, and it was the beginning of something wonderful in my life. And here I am. I'm 55 years old, and I'm at the point of being able to present my first book of poetry. And so I'm so excited about that. And I'm just so glad that you all are here to celebrate with me. The first poem is the flagship poem. But I actually wrote it last. It was the last poem that I wrote. I really felt like people needed to understand the concept of the Firetalker. The Firetalker's daughter. My mother talked the fire out of burns, eased the pain, as did her father, as did his mother, as does my son, as will his daughter. It had to pass me by, as I was not a man-child. Yet my mother looked at me like I was sun in the sky, like I was promised. She said that while I would not have that gift, I would have a great many, and even though I couldn't talk it, I most certainly carried it, power. I entered the world very tiny and gray, with a gray ring around my brown eyes, said I was scrawny, with bright eyes that had seen before. Mama said a great many long gone spirits dwelled where I was born, and when it was time to leave that place, she was well ready to go. They worried her incessantly. She told me many other things, like how great aunties Hat and At were healers, and women would come to them for many an unknown ailment, and how God put these abilities in us because of what God knew we would need to survive, for our families to survive, for our people to survive. My mother marched in the movement. My mother educated the masses. My mother spoke the fire. But sometimes my mother held her tongue. My mother can no longer tell me any more about these truths I have discovered are very real. That is to say that she lives, but she cannot say. Sometimes her tongue gets confused. Sometimes her tongue is at rest. I cannot talk the fire, yet I am fire. I know this because she told me so. Truth. As black as. Surely there's none blacker than I. Soul black, holding black, holy black, holy black. Behold this black. Voice. I have screamed for an eternity, and sometimes it has been powerful and terrible. It has moved the danger away. I have raised my torch and dared anybody to silence me. I have bared pointed teeth, saliva pouring down my chin, eyes bulging, feet ready to run and jump and kick. I am the sound. I am the rage. Yet sometimes I am frightened. No, deathly afraid. I have called upon my mother's spirits, those assigned to me to hold back the devils that have come for me, come for my children, the greatest sources of my fear, feeling the wind and wave of their hands as they dodge my grasp. My old woman spirits, guides, have heard my entreaty and arrived pocketbook handles in the crooks of their arms. They've sung holy war songs and done ring dance and lit fires to purge my fear, and sacrificed it on the altar of womanhood. No room for it, fear in blackness. No room for it, fear in womanness. What a tragic combination of expectations. See, for a time I thought I could fear without fear. Turns out that I cannot have those moments. Gotta put on my good Black woman, grease her down, smother her in high blood pressure, cook her down like bad cholesterol, band her like a tumor, and stand like it's no matter. Yet I am matter. I am water, I am blood, I am bone, I am skin, I am eyes, I am limbs, I am lungs, I am ears, I am heart, I am weeping doubt, I am fire. My tough old women don't care. Better crazy than crying. My old woman spirits have told me that I must be strong. That's what the stars have told them. They have lived it. They know. No pallets to rest the charges given me. So, as you can see, one of the things that I gained in my growing up was a knowledge of the expectations of who I am and what I should do. But certainly that has not always been something that is easy, especially when we consider how very often when Black women show up in particular spaces, and I say Black women, but also women in general, there are some things that are common to women that really don't have anything to do with color. But then there's that added, if you are of color, if you are wrapped in brown, you are there is an expectation, and sometimes there's a danger, and sometimes the space is not even outside of your place of living. This particular poem is entitled Die No More, and it's a requiem for Breonna Taylor. Yes. I take her up in my arms, a daughter I never knew. Die no more, daughter, die no more. Spirit ushers her toward the sky, away from a land too broken to care or understand that she was the one it could have loved, protected, not rejected solid life, nor cooked down what she was meant to be, likening her legacy to wilted greens down a drain, never to be redeemed. Daughter, die no more, leaving me to keep her name on my pen, in my fingertips, a daughter I never knew, because they sent word by vile, loathsome lips that the bullet that tore through her live body unjustified, ripped the light from her eyes, would not be held accountable. And her only justification would come in her by and by. Daughter, die no more. My children march on streets of hate in a land that reviles and berates skin and embraces sin, calls evil forth, names it God and invites it in. No God I know, blessed daughter, as you will find when you join the fold of real God divine. Daughter, die no more, die no more. I also have a love of family, and ancestry, and my grandmother, the mother of the Firetalker, was a woman who played a great role in my life as well, in ways that I can't even begin to describe. She's with me every day. She's with me right now. And there's some memories sometimes we have of our family members. And this particular memory that I have of her, it started off with one memory and it kind of moved into another. But this poem is entitled Ponds. The aroma of Pond's lemon cold cream was replaced by the scent of heaven on Sundays, drifting through 1201 Battle Street and even probably down the street, and I can feel her coming through the kitchen in a pink housecoat covering some beautiful church suit, ready to fry chicken and lift it hot from the grease, prepare dumplings for sputtering greens, pull pound cake from the oven, and then remind us that we must eat, but first pray that the food might be blessed and hot. Edify our bodies, she would say, and we would eat vigorously at first, but then in silence as one dish after another graced our plates. And after, we would laugh heartily about cleanup. Me calling my auntie the chosen one, like Esther the maid from Young and the Restless, who had her duties to perform. This should be the form she should inhabit, lest I wear the apron of servitude. And my granny would laugh and cut one more slice of cake for me. Nobody ever loved me like she did. I was her first, and I would be her last first. No one ever loved me like that, and no one else ever would.
Regina, I got to make some sounds. Oh my goodness. Oh.
And I want to say that this poem was actually born in an impromptu writing workshop or poetry and practice, if you will, with my sisters Caren and Laura. This was almost a response to a poem entitled Peony.
Peony.
Yep, yes,
peony.
A flower. That's a flower. And that Caren presented. Who wrote that, Caren?
That is, oh, you put me on the spot.
Well,
I'm blanking out.
Don't worry about it. We'll get it later.
Sydney Waite.
Okay. Yes.
Sydney Waite. Whew, brain. Thank you.
Wow. I do want to do just how am I for time?
We are at 7:24.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this next poem, and let me just say the one before it, of course, I just told you this next poem is not in the book. It's entitled Blue. And this actually came from a workshop that I'm a part of, actually called Poets in Practice, out of Portland. Wonderful people in that group. It is actually prompted or inspired by a poem called Green Sickness by Laurel Chin. Blue. The color blue indicates a temperature even hotter than white. Blue flames usually appear at a temperature between 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit and 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The poet said, she said, grief is not the only geography I know. And my heart thumped loudly in affirmation and sorrow and fear, for I can plot clouds that hang dark and black and low, whose water cannot quench the blue flames of this fire, bluest despair, bluest depravity, driven by derision and exclusion and death. The bluest eye scorches outward and deep to find the flaw in poverty and pain, and it glories as it sees no promise running wild across a loveless terrain. This bluest burning orb rotates inward to its God and offers sacrifice. I know well the land charted as chasms ever widening, swallowing dreams. I know well the land blackened blue from the unchecked flaming of self-anointed authority. For in this land, the brilliance of sky and the cool of sea have no say, and layers peel away, incinerated into nothingness as we burn inside, outside, in, embodied in horror. This is the land on which I live. I am brought here to stand atop, to add to the mounting mourning of ashes and darkened, weary bones.
Oh, Regina.
I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to give everyone else this chance to share. I don't want to hog up the time. I don't want to just be my Rhapsody, but
I think we would be happy for you to have all the time, but do what you do, you, Regina.
Yeah. Okay. So this next little poem grouping is actually going to appear in a work upcoming. So it may or may not take this form, but this is where we are. And I want to share with you because you're so good to be here, and I'm glad you're here. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the Psalter, out from the gloomy path, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. I sat down on the edge of the earth and spied those who loved me more, who loved me better, even better than I could conceive, twinkling in the by and by. They smiled and beamed down prophecies that God handed them. And I placed some in my mouth, stored some in my heart, and began to write. The stars moved with me, hovered just above my head. God music in minor. There is something about singing God music in a minor key. Lets God and the world know that you or your people been through something, that the trauma is still sitting in your bones, like the tire is still in your flesh, like you just heard that one of your people just got sentenced to life for doing something to keep them from killing themselves, like the world sees you like mud, like beast, like interloper, like abomination, like God not breathed in, like Gollum clay. God, ear tuned to the minor key, knows that while we are wrapped, trapped in flesh, the universal nothing is something, that time winks are eons, that colors and shades are more than God displaying diverse palettes. Cultures and land masses have been built like armor to explain and defend the difference. Human voices modulate to emphasize humanity, sometimes like low moans, sometimes like creamy croons, sometimes desperately high screams, always reaching for God in minor key. Listen, can you hear? Minor notes winding staircases to heaven, carrying prayers, trying to find God like us. Souls trembling for release. Selah, Selah. This last poem that I'm going to do is actually in memory of Stephen Voss, aka Twitch. And he is the man who was previously, he was on the Ellen show, and the world was kind of rocked when they learned of his suicide. This is in memory of Stephen Voss and all whose pain grew louder than the music. It's a poem of solace. Sometimes the dance is not enough. And sometimes the music does not drown out the pain. And sometimes it's not about heaven or hell. And sometimes it's not about anything they did wrong. And sometimes it's not anything you did wrong. And sometimes it's not something you should have seen, you could have seen. And sometimes none of that matters. Because pain and deep despair can be deceitfully stronger than the music, than the dance. Because heaven or hell is not looming in view, only the scandalous images of freedom beckon. Because what he, she, they, anyone did or did not do is the veil we use to cover the body, to lay the issue to rest. Because sometimes the mask secured in place smiles wide and blinks assuringly. And what can we do about that other than stretch our fingers toward the sky, allow our love to attach itself to the solid memory, build our shrines with soul cells of gratitude for all that was given, all that he, she, this human life lifted and loved. And we must be vigilant and aware of our sorrow, and we must not wrap ourselves in the mantle of death so the energy of pain burned all fiercely in the atmosphere does not circle and cage us. And what can we do but love everyone just as hard as we can, always, because sometimes, in fact, most often, we don't really know, even if we should have known, just what we could have done to really slay the hurt. And we must continue to search the stars and our minds for the soothing memories and messages from the beautiful, resolute, wits-end human spirit who sought to untether its soul from fickle flesh. Thank you.
Oh, Regina, if everybody would like to unmute, let's show Regina some love.
Yay,
Oh,
yay, yay.
Wonderful. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Really
If
great.
I'm not clapping, it's because I.
oh,
Right.
if you have a
Yeah,
pass,
Scott, you
Scott,
hurt your hand.
Let me do this.
that's great.
There you
That's
go.
great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, goodness.
Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Loved it.
so much. I'm excited to hear all of you.
Regina, you're going to have to check the chat out. There were a million just amazing
okay.
comments in there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a question they wanted to ask Regina, or have her talk about something in particular? Or Regina, I'm interested.
Okay.
I'm just curious listening. Like we really had a scope of different kinds of poems, so I am curious about how these poems are coming to you. Like what do you have a practice? Do you have a magical place you sit and the muses come to you? Do you only write at 3 p.m. on a Thursday? What's the deal? What's going on there?
Well, I guess they can come in a variety of ways, but I will say that the way that the poems come most often in the very, like between my waking and my sleeping, like in the early morning.
Oh,
and
really?
I'll wake up and there's a thought in my head, and maybe it's because that's when I feel the most clear, before I have to step out into the fray, and I'm often just kind of I'm in bed, usually, and if it is really something that I am compelled, if the fire is in my bones, I will grab my cell phone and just go open up a Google Doc and just start kind of it starts, so that I'll at least get, a few lines off so I can go back to it. That is my process. That maybe that sounds, I hear a lot of people say, I do this, I have my tea, I have my this, I have my that, I'm looking out the window, but it's not really that with me. lately I have been engaging in like workshops and things, which I do love, because it's great to get the feedback and to be inspired by others. So yeah, that's
So Regina, who was it who said that they get up and work first thing in the morning before their inner critic wakes up? I just read that somewhere.
Oh wow.
And I was like, that's why I like to write early in the morning, because I don't start editing as I go, because that's always a danger. So do you tend to write more early in the morning?
I do. And very often, I'll hear people say, it took me 3 months to get that poem right.
I'm not that diligent, are you?
I'm not. It comes in a burst almost,
Wow.
Yeah.
If it took, oh, sorry. I was gonna say, if it took me 3 months to write a poem, within the first week, I'd have done deleted it, because I've done been so mad at it. I've been like, you gotta go somewhere else.
Right.
Right.
I guess I'm different there, because I've had poems I've worked on for 5 years.
Mm.
Yeah, I get it. Burst. I put it out in a burst, but
Right.
Well, that's kind of true, because my first poem that got published in Cackalack, I wrote 3.5 years before I submitted it, and I made changes to it after workshopping it with Caren, and it worked. So, it's kind of a mix of both. Sometimes I get sick of a poem and I just don't want to work on it anymore. But other times it's like, this is crap. Either I rework it or I toss it.
Right.
Oh, I never toss anything.
Oh no,
well,
no,
it's still
don't
there.
toss
I just
it.
haven't done anything with
But
them.
maybe never toss.
Yeah, I'm with Scott on that. Yeah, I tend to, I will finish a poem. I consider it finished once I get it typed up. But then every time I look at it, I edit it. Like forever. It never changes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's a
an
problem.
editing that happens before you submit a lot of the time, isn't there?
Yeah. Even
Like,
if I look at it, even if I
And
look at a poem, I'm like, oh, what? Yeah.
yeah, I never look at my poems after they're published, because I'm like, they're published, I don't need to edit it no more. And even if I read it once it's published, I still want to do stuff to it. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
I've seen Tennyson poems that are in like 3 or 4 different versions, and it's like, to say that I would never edit something just because it's been published. I know I have. You get published here, but you put it into a book, and maybe between that time you have different thoughts on it.
Well, I have to say, I'm so glad that we're kind of getting the sneak. I guess it's not a sneak peek; it's sort of a sneak here of the poems that are in here, and bonus poems that aren't in the book. So that was really exciting to have the combination for you to share with us tonight, Regina. I really appreciate that.
Well, I didn't read the whole book because, I want you to buy it.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be crazy, right?
Right.
That's called good marketing.
Yeah, you always want to leave us wanting more, right?
You don't give away the product, you make it.
And then,
That's right.
I'm very conscious, Caren, I don't know, like she says, she has this thing about like not reading, making sure I don't repeat, you don't repeat poems. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, but so I have to go to another stash then. I'm gonna go to another.
I try to not read the same one more than once, at least online. I don't know. I might not
even
be
if you change one word. Oh, but I've
edited and it's different.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I'm so excited. So one more plug, you guys. Well, not, who am I kidding? I'm just plugging this all the time. The Firetalker's Daughter, that is Regina's upcoming, soon to be published collection at Finishing Line Press. Easy to find. Just type Finishing Line Press in, type Regina's name in. Boom, there you go.
I have a question real fast. I know it's a bit late. I'm sorry.
Good.
So it's a two-part question. How did you come how did you come up with the title / where did the cover come from?
Oh, very good. I'm glad you asked that. Okay. So the Firetalker's Daughter is well, it that became the title. As I started pulling together some poems, I saw this contest and I said, oh, I'm gonna try this, you know. And I started pulling poems and I was like, I saw this fire theme. And then I started thinking about my mom, because I knew whatever I was doing, I wanted to, you know, kind of dedicate it to her. And my mother is a fire talker. I was like, oh, the irony, you know. And so the book is really, I guess, who I am, the fire talker's daughter. You know, I am the product of all of what she poured into me, you know, and other influences. But so I'm the fire talker's daughter. I don't talk the fire, but I am the fire, according to her. Like throughout my life, she would say that. So, yeah. And
good question, John. Thank you. Yeah, there was another part to your question, wasn't there, John?
Where did the cover come from?
Oh, yes. Okay. A very talented young woman I've known all her life. Her name is Caren Harrell. She is actually a high school student. And she was in a debutante pageant that my sorority sponsored. And her talent was she created a photo not a photo gallery, but an art gallery. It was on video because it was during COVID. And I said, oh my goodness, I want her. If I need something for any publication that I you know undertake, I really want her to be my illustrator. I want her to, you know, handle that, do my book cover. And I went to school with her parents. Her mother is my sorority sister. Her grandmother is my sorority sister. So it was just like asking family, and she just did such a wonderful job. You know, I think about the fact that she's in high school and doing all these wonderful things, and I'm really proud of her. Yes.
That cover is just, you know, like I try never to think about, you know, the saying, don't judge a book by its cover or whatnot. But you know, that cover is like double take quality. Like that cover is enough just to get the book.
Good plug, John. Get the book.
Thank you. I will, and I'm going to share that with her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. Did anybody anybody else have a question or anything they wanted to discuss with Regina? Because I'm thinking we're going to move into open mic, but I didn't want to cut anybody off. Do we have anybody? I'll tell you what, if anybody's interested in sharing an original poem in open mic tonight, please just put your name. Thank you for getting us started, Laura. Just let me know in the chat. Christy's saying yes. Well, I've got Laura and Christy.
Yeah.
And John. All right. Very good. And Joan. All right.
Oh, let me shout out I see my peeps here. Cherie and Katrina.
Do some shout outs.
Lester Howard. I'm just excited to see you all here. I didn't notice it. Oh, and the great Latoria Faison is also in the house. I see her. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes, thank everybody.
Yes, yes. I know you want to drop a poem in the chat, Dr. Faison.
Regina, I am just getting here. I'm so sorry. Look, I couldn't get in here. I cannot drop a poem in.
Not a poem. Put your name in the chat and drop some knowledge on us.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Would you like to share a poem with us in open mic? I'm taking a list now. I'm getting a list.
I'm gonna go ahead. You can put me on it. Look, Regina's gonna make me do it.
Great.
I have to pull a poem out from somewhere.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, let's see. I'm hoping I'm not missing anybody here. Let me go back and see what we've got.
Thank you, Lester Howard. Did you?
All right. I have Laura. I have John. Let's see. Laura, Christy, John, Scott, Joan, Chad, Latoria. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, ma'am, you're correct.
Latoria.
Yep.
And Joan.
No, that's just a question.
Yeah, Joan, you can read an unpublished or a published poem. That's
Okay.
totally up to you. We just want you to share something that's yours.
Okay.
Anybody else? Well, if you get your nerve built up during this, just let me know, and we'll be glad to have you share. All right, should I do the pinning thing, Regina? I think I'm having an epic fail on that this evening.
Oh no, yeah, you should do. Yeah,
I'll try that.
The spotlight. Is that what you're saying? The spotlight.
Spotlight. Yeah, let's try it out on Laura.
Yes, you know what to do.
Let's see what I do. Let's see what I can do. Oh, am I spotlighting for everyone, Regina, or am I going to pin her? Pinning sounds painful. Let's see what that does.
You remember the spotlight, right? So do the spotlight.
Do the spotlight. Okay, so I'm gonna take her pin off. I saw a giant Laura, but I guess nobody else saw that, right?
No.
This is why I read my poems from the computer.
It was great.
I'm not looking at myself.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, you look lovely, darling. Can everyone else see Laura? Everybody else see her?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Does it really matter?
It does. It's so important, Laura. Yes. Please take us into our open
Regina
mic.
and Caren have heard a version of this because we're writing on Saturday, and this came from that. It's called "Only Part of This Poem Is True." Divorce your forever best friend and burn all the books he left behind, the weighty history tomes, crumbling sci-fi paperbacks. Fuck Philip K. Dick and his replicants. March in warm boots into a quiet corner. Read a serious novel. Remember then how your brother decapitated your Barbies, his G.I. Joe swinging vacuicide blondes by their hair, victorious. The nuns only had him for 2 years, but forged him with sharp slap of ruler on palm for squirming in his chair, shamed my sister, placed her in a corner for being late, when it was all Claire McNally's fault. Come full circle to yourself, to the small room, a white-walled cell, but no bloody cross over the bed. Thank you.
Wow, Laura. And if everybody wants to just like unmute between, we can do that. I'll trust y'all to not make crazy sounds while people are reading. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have Christy. If I can find.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all know Finding Her is out through Finishing Line Press, but I followed Caren's advice, and I'm going to read y'all something new that is not out yet, but will be in some kind of future collection. And since my daddy has passed away, and those of you who know me know he was my primary caregiver, I've been through a lot of transition, and so this is one of those poems out of that. This is called "And Before I Arrived at After." I didn't know you were their safety net. I was a non-entity. You're something to be crafted into a what they could handle. And when you left your body, mine loomed large, required duty. Denial whispered in darkness, assumed I couldn't hear. Don't invite her, shine in their eyes. Supposed I couldn't see. Who's she gonna ask? In the thin-lipped silence of my questions left hanging. Now I know you protected me. This was for my daddy, John, father of a daughter living with quadriplegia and cerebral palsy. Thank you.
Oh, Christy, thank you.
Bless you. Thank you.
Oh
my gosh. That was
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Christy. Thank you. All right, next up, I am coming to you, John. I think I am.
Maybe.
Okay, I promise before I do this again, I'm gonna practice my skills. There you are. Let's make you big.
Oh, goodness.
There you go.
Can you hear me? I'm so sorry. Give me 5 seconds.
Well, you got it.
Oh,
We're
wait.
just-
Usually it messes my volume up when people call, and it didn't. So thank goodness.
You're well of the show because
All right, so this is called Anxiously at the Wound. I sleep in the fog of your morning breath. In the overspill we disappear, catching the hook. The dream glints in the murky water. Oh, the dream glimpses I shape into your image. I wake empty-headed, afraid, confused, weight sewn into my palms. Where are you? The cold wraps me like a grave. And that's that poem.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
The cold wraps me like a grave. John.
Yes.
Wow. All right, next we are going to go to M. Scott Douglas. Got you big.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, listening to everybody else, I feel like, here I am with a meager, newly out of bed poem. This thing's from, I don't know, this morning. It's called Old Hands. My fingers tingle at the touch of a new day. Pull the blankets down, drag me up to meet the morning, fumble the knob of the bedroom door. A hot mug of coffee brings life back to these numb sausage links. Soothes swollen knuckles, prepares them to complete the day's objectives. For a lifetime, they've been my grip on the world, worth their weight in gold. Now they're lead anchors, clumsy weights at the ends of my arms. These hands have been cut, stitched, frozen, and smashed. They've built, broken, played, caressed, applauded. Now, each cranky joint knuckles under to age, rebels against dexterity, against limited flexibility, struggles to find the will to work, to hold on to the fragile projects at hand.
Wow. Wow, Scott. Whew. Thank you.
I've got incentive here.
Yes, the hands poem. Wow, and that's a freshly hatched one, right?
Yeah,
Did you say this morning?
I would call it a work in progress. I'll probably still be writing it tomorrow morning.
What? After my own heart. All right, next up we have Joan.
Well, we hope I don't sneeze again. I had to mute quickly because I have a sneeze that used to sometimes, if we had a substitute teacher, they'd make me stand in the corner because they didn't believe it was for real. So I'm out here in the porch where my husband usually sits, and I guess there's some kind of pollen or something. But anyway, I'm going to read something that from my new book that Scott put out. Yay, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
It's called Feathers on Stone, and it just came out. And the poem I'm going to read is about my dad. And I picked it because one of my dear friends from childhood recently found me. And she's an artist, and I sent her a copy of the book, and she said, our fathers were best friends. And she said she did something similar with her father. So this is for my father, her father, and for Suzanne. My father's late night suppers. My father often worked long hours, arriving home near midnight to a late supper of poached eggs and tomato sauce, or fried eggs and peppers. I sat down by him at the yellow formica slice that was our kitchen table to spill out my day to him while he ate. I sampled his supper, liking it because he liked it. On warm summer nights after his late supper, he scooped small bowls of ice cream for himself, my mom, and me, and out on the back porch we ate and talked while watching stars.
Joan,
Thank you, Joan.
I have to say, Joan, I love eggs in purgatory. The eggs.
Yes,
I love eggs in purgatory. Okay.
My father would eat anything if you put a tomato sauce on it. My mother used to say she could fry up a piece of shoe leather and pour tomato sauce on it and he'd be happy. So I'm Italian on both sides.
That is wonderful. And Joan, did you say that is in a Main Street Rag book?
Yes, it is. Feathers on Stone. Here it is.
Fabulous.
I put the link in the chat.
Yes, everybody.
Well, thank you, Laura.
If they can
yes, we did want to invite everybody. If you have a book that you would like to let us know about, to do put the link in the chat.
You did put the link.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Yeah, so don't be shy about that. Regina and I talked about that, and Regina's being very gracious of spirit and encouraging, although she has a book coming out herself, which we would love for you to purchase. Always good to share the love with
just because I have one doesn't mean I can't buy Regina's.
Exactly, right? We got to spread the love. Spread the love.
Victoria's book is out too. She just put that in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, very good. Very good.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so next up we have Chad. Let's see, Chad, coming to you. Trying to make you big.
I'm sorry that John Compton had to leave early because we were going to make an announcement. We both got something good coming up in February. And I'm really new to social media. He's helping me put together things like that. He even taught me how to get on these type of events.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad for that.
And I had told him that I was going to have a cover coming. I was going to be on the cover of Clutch magazine in January, and he announced that on my social media, and I was all excited about that. And right before the book came out, the editor called and said, "I've bumped you to the back cover."
Oh.
And I said, "Okay, I'm fine with that." And I was kind of disappointed and kind of sad around the Christmas break, but that's who's on the front cover. That's Salman Rushdie.
Oh, wow.
I was really excited about that.
Can you hold your cover back up again?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was going to show John that. That's who bumped me off the front cover.
And show us the back cover.
I'll take that as a badge of honor.
Yes.
I would too.
Oh, that is beautiful.
That's great.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that.
Well, thanks. I just wanted, he likes for us to brag about. He said if we don't brag about ourselves, nobody else is going to. So
that's true. That is true.
You have to self-promote. Regina,
it's not bragging, it's informing.
Yes, that's right. It's yes.
Regina and I spent New Year's together online. So and I'm a big fan of hers. She's such an amazing poet. I'll do a quick one. It's called Like a Faraway Radio Station Fading. It's for a dear friend who passed away from Alzheimer's. I forgot where I heard about the poet with Alzheimer's who had forgotten everything except the songs he sang as a child. All other memory was gone. He could not write at all, not even his name. He did not know that he'd been a poet, published many books. His daughter said he only remembered songs from his youth, sang them, as if he were tuning into some faraway radio station that faded in and out in the midnight mountains on the long road where the only light was song and voice in memory's destination.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Chad, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and congrats on your book cover. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your delivery.
Yeah.
Love your delivery.
Regina, I usually use a hurdy-gurdy when I do that.
Wow.
So.
It reminds me of Jack.
You can do that anytime when you read.
Yeah, I was going to say, do that anytime, Chad. That's great. All right, next up we have Latorial. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, it's Latorial. Hello, everybody. I think this looks like a North Carolina crowd.
Yeah,
it is very North Carolina.
Since it is, I would have
mostly.
to know. I lived in Charlotte about 20 years ago, and I tried so hard to get into the Main Street rag. I never did. So I don't know. Maybe somebody will bring me on now.
Keep trying.
Well, you're a Cave Canem.
Okay,
right?
So the poem, I'm not Cave Canem. This is the interesting thing. I'm more a Furious Flower Child.
Yes.
Okay. And that's how I kind of got into Cave Canem. But the poem that I'm going to read, it's from a collection that I'm trying to get out there. It's been selected as finalist for Cave Canem's award and for Rhino. And I'm trying not to self-publish it myself. But the title is from an award-winning poem, Mama Was a Negro Spiritual. That's the title of the collection. For those of you who don't know me, I grew up in Southern Virginia in Southampton County, where the infamous Nat Turner slave revolt took place. So it's just a lot of history there. So I'm still shopping that book around. I wanted to read another one, but two of these other poems have just been selected by Obsidian and Rhino again. So wish me luck.
Congratulations and good luck. Yeah.
Thank you. The one that I'm going to read, I haven't been quite sure what to leave the title as because the collection is more so about my grandmother who raised me, who's not here, and growing up, in this Southern town, which is pretty much black-white. The title of this poem is Hallelujah Anyhow, something my grandma used to say. And I had previously titled it When Black Lives Mattered. So I'm not quite sure what to call it, but right now it's Hallelujah Anyhow.
Hallelujah Anyhow.
Here's the poem. Mama drove a yellow school bus, cooked in school cafeterias, and cleaned white folks' houses. Daddy cleaned their yards, worked their farms, drove nails in their boards, built their houses, their schools, their churches, their office buildings, their grocery and department stores. They came home each day to a 4-turned 8-room house that took 30 years to pay for, a house they worked hard to make a home for me and every child who ever laid their head down in it, every child they raised from something dead. They knew Black America like the back of their hands, that it was a hallelujah anyhow, a dice game, a juke joint, a song they danced, a come to Jesus moment. It was more than what they had yesterday. Life had been scattered with hope for what a tomorrow could bring. They knew white America was no Black man's promised land, but they got out of bed every day anyhow, pressed on for whatever victory they had in that white Jesus hanging high in a picture framed in their living room. They kept the faith because in America, life could change for the better in a Southampton County minute, a shotgun marriage, an out of wedlock birth at a funeral with a graduation in an old white woman's kitchen, or the tilling of a white man's field. There rested a promise that hard work paid, not well, but good enough to raise boys and girls America might one day call sons and daughters, men and women, Black or white, rich or poor, American. Their Black lives mattered to them first, to them most of all.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
No one has selected that poem yet.
They're crazy. Oh my gosh. This is awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, I'm wishing you good wishes for that. Yeah, that's gonna find a home.
Absolutely.
That will find a home. I am looking at my list and I don't have any more names on it for open mic. Did I miss someone? Chad Horn. No, oh, you're just waving.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that would like
to read something, Caren?
Who said that?
Me,
I did.
I'm
If
sorry.
nobody else
Me,
will,
me.
Okay.
I'll second it.
I just happen to have one. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to read something, which one, but since Scott read some fresh ink, I'm going to do some fresh ink. I always like doing some fresh ink. So this is from this morning. This is my January 25. Approaching noon, this morning's drizzle has been holding its breath, exhaling quietly, intentionally, controlled, then inhaling, holding, again, again. I've lit a candle in the sunroom to honor the gray of the hush of this day. I can hear electricity making its way through the walls of this house, feeling its own excitement at the dryer's hot tumbling of towels, at the fridge's slurping it up, chilling out the bevs and the veggie-filled bins, and willing water into cubes. Before I see it, I feel it building, the changeover, the drizzle releasing itself from its whispering with deep inhalations, and the opening up of something which allows a full flowing splash dashery of pooling puddles, a settling into soaking in as I wish for the same, for the poem flowing from this pen.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Fresh ink.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Yes.
Did that inspire anyone who hasn't shared a poem tonight to want to share a poem?
Lester, what's going on, man? He's not talking to me.
No. Anyone?
Anyone?
Okay. No one piping in?
I will.
Is that a yes from Lester?
It is.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah, and this has been such a beautiful setting. I'm really glad that I got the invite and I remembered to come in because I needed this. And Mr. Regina, you know what I've been through over the last few weeks. This poetry is life to me. It is definitely life-giving. So I just appreciate everything that I've heard up until this point. I'm gonna do a piece from my last book, and I'm gonna do this piece in the interest of transparency because this is something that I've struggled with, especially over COVID, you know, the window of the pandemic and everything. So it's called Communion, Demon in a Bottle. This basically, the poem will speak for itself. Walk with me, Lord, has always been my song of praise. Seemed that from one day to the next, I would consistently find myself humming this song without a care in the world, until I caught myself. Years later, and my faith all but spent, humming this song where the air is much too thick. Somehow church hymns don't quite sound the same in the line of a liquor store. He was back to collect, back to make good on his debt. And I feared more than anything that the interest accrued exceeded both mind and body. He was back for my soul. The collection of empty bottles like unmarked tombstones were evidence that I had been at hard work, laying dreams and visions to rest daily. Hiding in plain sight is easy when you surround yourself with hypocrites, deceivers, and master manipulators. Being called to do God's work was an overrated experience. I just didn't know. Maybe I'll just take the influence, the power, the respect. The Jesus freaks could keep the rest. Turn as many cheeks as you want, I said. I'd be busy turning choir girls into cheap parlor tricks with this self-made libation. Trading pulpits out for familiar bars comes easy these days. Everybody seems to listen to drunken wisdom when the chips are down. I knew God was in the bottom of a shot glass, so like Sunday morning service, I passed out blessings to my congregation. This round's on me, y'all. Even my demons were ashamed. Not enough blackouts, not nearly enough. Government seals broken like adulterous promises, clouding the line of separation of church and state. Simply put, confusion. Some might deem my blasphemy as nothing more than the ambition of a fallen saint. Others wait patiently for me to get it together. Me, I'm simply waiting on death to stop bluffing and go all in. All we ever really had was a pair of deuces anyway.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you came.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad.
I'm glad you got persuaded to read.
I thank y'all for letting me be vulnerable in this space. I appreciate it.
You know, that's how we do.
Yeah.
That's how, yes. Thank you for sharing, Lester. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yep, hearts. Chad's putting hearts up.
Thank you.
Ooh. You guys, what an evening. Is there still time to draw another poem out of somebody who hasn't shared one yet? Or are we feeling it? It's okay if we're not. I'm just throwing that out there one more time. Regina, wouldn't it be lovely?
Close us out.
If you had a poem to send us home with.
You know, I just might have one right here.
Really? Oh my goodness, what a surprise.
Yeah. Actually, this is a poem that appeared in Main Street Rag.
Whoop, whoop.
So thank you to the wonderful M. Scott Douglas for accepting it. New Psalm of the South. This for you, listen. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me while I'm on my pilgrim journey. I want Jesus to walk with me. Sing of the South a new song, one in which broken gods erected as glorious history no longer dictate hate on scrolls of promise to hearts of fear, nor feign sacrifices that offer no salvation. Sing of the South a new song, one that does not insist on singular stories, one righteous Southern sound, one more deserving Southern face, return Southern land, recounted plantation grace. One that does not insist on the refrains of torturous restorations of wistful old ways still insisted upon in these new days. Sing of the South a new song, one that has learned from opened ears, careful thought, and detects drums and powerful chants, bluegrass, blues, cumbia, hip hop, rock, hallelujah harmonies, and more, sounds that blend in, move out, together, apart, back again, distinctive, collective, harsh, heady, sweet, soulful beauty drifting in the air. Sing of the South a new song. In every place, may we entreat our chosen divinity and find ample space in pastures and mountains and hills and shores, that every mouth and heart might fling wide and intone righteous lyrics, tying hopeful voice to a Southern earth that yearns to love all and be loved by all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
Regina.
Beautiful, Regina.
Yes, thank you, Regina.
Oh my
y'all, I
goodness.
needed
If
this
everybody
tonight.
wants to
That was beautiful.
unmute,
You were amazing.
Thank you.
You all were
big round of
amazing.
applause. Big round of applause for Regina and for all of you all here tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Regina. Please be sure to save the chat. If I hope everybody knows how to do that. If you go down to the little chat box on your screen and click on it, you should get 3 little dots. I think it works the same way on a phone as it does on your laptop. If you click on the dots, the magic will happen and your computer or phone will save the chat somewhere, and you can go back and look at all the wonderful comments from this evening and the links that people have been putting in for their books. Regina, did you get a link for this for everyone? Did we get one in there? Let's get one in there, shall we?
Several times, but finish it out.
There we go.
Yes, put that in there. Remember, the Firetalker's daughter, Finishing Line Press, Regina Garcia. It's coming out in March.
March 31st.
Out March. Thank you all so much. This has been it's just been a joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Caren. Thank you.
Thank
Let's
you,
give
Caren
a
and Regina. Hey, Caren.
She was great.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, please stay checking in with Facebook on Regina's page. If you're not friends with me, Caren with a C, Stuart, friend me so you can see these Zoom pop-ups and open mics, and yeah, let's stay in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Thank you for posting that, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina.
Thank you, Lester. You take it easy. Be cool.
I will. I'll see you.
Thank you, Lester.
You coming tomorrow?
Thank you so much.
I'm pressing my way to get there. I'm good to go health wise. So it's just really I got to get out of my own head and
yeah, get out because all you look.